I think we can all agree that anybody who puts money into an investment in general, and I'm in commercial real estate for those of you who are wondering what I do, everybody knows that there is risk involved in any investment. That goes without saying. But when fraud is involved, there should be no risk whatsoever. And it seems to me that the issue at bar here has everything to do with fraud, and it can be proven. And the fact that it's been basically brushed under the rug for a very long time is something that must be highlighted at greater lengths, so we can find a solution and make sure that everybody who has been wronged by this is finally put in the right position as they need to be. So Drew, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself and introduce this very controversial but an essential topic that we're going to discuss this evening.
Okay, first and foremost, I want to say thank you very much for having me here today. It's very appreciated. I say this not only on behalf of myself, but on behalf of an entire community of shareholders that have been fighting for the last 18 months to get some transparency. Much appreciated.
My pleasure.
So I'm going to give you kind of the long and short version of it. Way back in June of 2021, a nanotechnology company out of Canada named MMTLP did a merger with a company in the States that went by Torchlight Energy Resources. Torchlight Energy was an oil and gas company, and MMTLP did not have any intention of being in the oil and gas business. They used this merger strictly as a vehicle to get listed in the United States. So what they did was they took Torchlight's assets and they spun them off into a separate security that was never supposed to be made tradable. In October of 2021, this security, against the issuer's wishes, all of a sudden began trading on the OTC. John Berta, former CEO of Torchlight Energy, called the regulator and said, actually called the market operator and said, you need to take this down. This should not be trading. The OTC markets informed Mr. Berta, you need to take this up with FINRA. FINRA stated that because John Berta was no longer the CEO, he had no standing to make this kind of complaint or request.
Now I'm going to ask you to explain to the audience exactly what FINRA is and how that factors into this equation.
FINRA is the regulator that that oversees the OTC market where this security was being traded.
So it's like a version of the FEC, basically.
FINRA is the SRO that is delegated by the SEC to oversee this part of the market and other aspects of the market as well.
Okay.
Essentially, fast forward now, 14 months goes by, FINRA allows this thing to trade without any interference whatsoever. And on this, in July of 2021, MMTLP issues a corporate action, an S1, which states that this security was going to be spun out into a private company. 4 subsequent revisions to that S1 were filed, amendments they're called. And this was in response to SEC comments. So the SEC comments and you have to amend. In November, the SEC had no further comment, and in December, a corporate action notice was released on the 6th, which informed the investing public, the brokerages, and the market operator that this security was no longer going to be tradable after December 12th. On December 7th, Jeff Mendel, vice president of OTC markets, goes on a broadcast and states that as per FINRA, the last day of trading would be December 12th. He even made predictions for extreme volatility and volume going into the close of the 12th of December. That's actually clip A. If you'd like to roll that, you can go for it, and then I can finish up.
Absolutely. All right, Colin, it's the last one at the bottom.
great.
Right. And all kinds of liquidity as well, and all kinds of opportunity as a result. That leads us to, I checked the market cap on MetaMaterials. I was actually surprised. It's 700 million as of the close yesterday, I guess. So let's talk about this headline from, I guess this was aftermarket yesterday when this came out. So a FINRA decision comes through, which is going to see the OTC listed Series A preferred shares of MetaMaterials be transferred into this NextBridge Hydrocarbons. From the OTC standpoint, if someone is a holder of the stock, what does that mean?
Okay, so basically, per FINRA's corporate action right, that came out. Basically, what that means is MMTLP is being deleted as a ticker after the trading day on the 12th. So it's deleted on the 13th, right? And so that means that you no longer are reporting a trade in MMTLP after that date. And so I think it's spinning up into NextBridge Hydrocarbons, something like that.
Along those lines.
Something along those lines. As far as
for 1 second.
Where that trades and.
Is this guy lying through his teeth right now? Because I think he is.
No, well, okay, so here's the funny thing. He comes out and he says this. Meanwhile, we have uncovered information that leads us to believe that he knows that the last day of trading is going to be December 9th. But he's informing the investing public that it's the 12th.
Okay.
So it's funny that you say that.
Yeah, well, because again, I've been in sales. I follow, I'm not a forensic analyst. I'm not, but I can tell when I can read people's body language. And what this guy is basically doing is he's fidgety. His eyes are moving all over the place, and he's trying to remember what they told him to say. Remember, when you go out there, you say this, because when you have to lie, it doesn't come naturally. It's like you're memorizing something and say, okay, well, remember, this is what you got to say. And he looks like somebody who never did, with all due respect, I don't want to judge book by its cover, but looks like he never did an honest day's work in his life. He's just somebody who basically has worked in finance his entire life and doesn't really understand the needs and the wants and the understandings of people who work for a living. So that's just kind of what I took away from that. We will continue, but yes, I get the impression that this guy is not being honest when he's speaking. Continue, Colin.
And how that trades, I'm not 100% sure right now. But what I can say, though, is MMTLP, as of the end of trading on the 12th, will no longer be on the OTC markets.
And that's the most important point to come across here. If you are holding these shares on the OTC markets, guys, again, end of trading on the 12th. It's coming off of the OTC. There's also a deadline that I saw in this press release of the 12th as well. So any shareholders on record as of the 12th will be involved in this NextBridge Hydrocarbons transaction. So the 12th, obviously, the most important date that we need to recognize, which I just checked is a Monday of all things.
Yes, and so let's take a step back here. So this has been kind of coming in, for the past month or two, right? In and out of trading very heavily as well too. It's a very active name, huge swings, violent swings in the name. This has been this is not something that typically happens, right? And also just as far as from a corporate action standpoint, usually when FINRA announces a corporate action, it's like the night before, the day before for something that's going to be deleted. And so what is it? It's a week out, or not quite a week out, but a week out is out of the ordinary. And so we'll see how it trades for the next few days, but maybe something to keep an eye on.
No, and that's a great point. 100%. It's going to probably do way more volume than it normally does until Monday. Again, end of trading on Monday, so we will have access up until Monday.
As it turns out, it wasn't till Monday, was it? It was Friday. And he lied, and he knew he was lying. So, Mr. Diligence, why would Mr. Mendel lie about the close of trading on the 9th and say it's the 12th? What would be his motivation to do that?
I can't say for sure if he was lying or he wasn't lying. However, what I can tell you is the day after this interview, FINRA released another corporate action, which basically stated the same thing. But curiously, they changed the phrase, they changed the word canceled to deleted. What's interesting about that is on that broadcast, Mr. Mendel uses the word deleted. So he must have ESP, because the next day, FINRA literally changed the verbiage of the corporate action unsolicited without being asked by the company to do so to the word deleted, which is the same word that he used. Then, so that was December 8th. In the meantime, between December 6th, 7th, and 8th, we've got communications from every single major U.S. broker-dealer that stated that as per FINRA, we would have until the close of Monday, December 12th to close our positions, only for us to wake up on the 9th and discover that we were halted. Now, when you ask why, the belief is, there is a prevailing belief that this security was very heavily naked shorted and manipulated. Now, what does that mean? Generally speaking, when you want to short a security, you have to be able to either borrow or demonstrate your ability to borrow shares to lend out to short. Otherwise, you're just printing shares that don't exist and dropping the stock price down. It is believed that this security was very heavily naked shorted. And every broker that told us that we would be able to close on the 9th and 12th also told us that all short positions would be forced closed. And lo and behold, when it's time to reconcile, meaning balance the shorts and the longs, they hit the halt button. So when you ask why they did it, the belief is that there were bad actors on Wall Street that were being protected by the regulatory establishment.